Hello again, I'm Zeb. In Gaspard the Fox's latest adventure, Gaspard's Foxtrot, he explores the sights, sounds and smells of London on a number 38 bus. It's a story all about seeing things that you see every day with fresh eyes, and that means looking up. This is St George's Church, Bloomsbury, but if you look at the tower, there's a lion and a unicorn chasing each other around a pyramid, and that's King George at the top. This is James Smith & Sons, but everyone knows it as the umbrella shop. It has umbrellas in every shape, size and colour. But if you look up to the writing above the windows, you can see some of the things they sold when London was a little bit more of a dangerous and exciting place to be. This is Covent Garden. Once upon a time, this was a market where London's greengrocers and restaurants got their fruit and vegetables, but now is one of the city's top tourist destinations, surrounded by the London Transport Museum, theatres and shops like Benjamin Pollock's. This is London's oldest independent toy shop, and it's an Aladdin's cave, and I've come here today for a surprise. Why don't you go up and I'll follow you in. Wow. Hello, Louise. Now, Louise is the owner of this wonderful shop, Benjamin Pollock's Toy Shop, famous the world over for these beautiful toy theatres. We're not here to talk about Pollock's Toy Theatres today. We're here for a surprise which you promised me. Now, yes. I must admit, I do know why Louise has asked me here today, but this will be the first time I've held this very special thing. And it's a toy Gaspard. And he is absolutely beautiful. He's so soft. And I love his fluffy oh, and you've even got the little tear in his right ear and his whiskers too. Now Gaspard is going to be on sale here to launch your Christmas shop along with these beautiful toy theatres. Maybe one day we'll have a Gaspard toy theatre, who knows. I'm absolutely thrilled. Can I take him away?
Of course you can, Zeb.
Thank you. And this is Fortnum & Mason, my favourite department store in London. It's famous for its beautiful window displays, especially at Christmas, but also for the clock. And on the hour, the figures of Mr. Fortnum and Mr. Mason appear out of the little doors and bow to each other. And we're just in time to see them. This reminds me, I haven't bought a Christmas tree. I know who can help, Gaspard's friend Clementine. I'll give her a call. Hello, Clementine.
Hello, Zeb. The wolves are running.
I'm sorry?
Oh, it's a quotation from a book. It means it's nearly Christmas, and I've come up with a Christmas decoration to make.
Does it involve tinsel and coat hangers?
No, you just need a piece of paper.
Will you tell us how?
I thought you'd never ask. I'm going to show you how to make a growing Christmas tree. You will need some sticky tape, some paper, and a pair of scissors. Oh yes, scissors. This does involve quite a lot of cutting, so you might want to get a grown-up to help you. First, cut some strips of paper, about 10 centimeters wide. With my paper, it makes 2 strips. Take one of the strips and roll it up. Use some sticky tape to hold it together, but only at one end, and you will have a tube. At the end of the tube without the sticky tape, make some cuts downwards, about halfway down the tube. These will form the branches of the tree, so the more cuts you make, the better your tree will look. You might want to get some help with this bit. It will end up like this. Now find the center of your tree, hold it and gently pull it out, and your tree will magically grow. Fold down the branches so they stick out a bit. Now a real Christmas tree is this sort of shape, wider at the bottom and narrower at the top. To get that effect, trim down the top branches. You'll end up with something like this. It's like a triangle or a cone. You could make one tree or a whole forest of them. These ones are made of wrapping paper. You can use any type of paper you can find. And of course, you can add glitter for extra sparkle. Have fun!
Well, that solved my Christmas tree problems. Why don't you have a go at making a paper Christmas tree and send me a picture for Gaspard's website, www.gaspardthefox.com.
Peter the Cat's Big Word. My big word is anticipation. Pronounced anticipation. It's when you're nervous and excited. You might say, I won't sleep a wink on Christmas Eve. It's the anticipation. Thank you. That was Peter the Cat's Big Word.
And Peter the Cat's little book of big words will be out next spring. But for now, from me and from Gaspard, we hope you have a very happy time over the next few weeks. And I'll leave you with a very special festive story.
Hello. Once upon a time, there lived a clever young woman called Ella. Now, Ella was very kind, but she lived with her two cruel stepsisters. They were very mean to Ella and made her do all of the housework, the cooking and the washing. They even made her clean out the fireplace. Now, a real fireplace gets very dirty. It gets full of soot and cinders. So the sisters called her Sooty. No, different thing. They called her Cinderella. One morning, Cinderella was peeling hundreds of potatoes to make yet more chips for the sisters when there was a knock at the door. Cinderella opened it, and an envelope was thrust into her hand by the postman. Inside was a card, edged with gold. It read, "To whom it may concern, Prince Charming wishes to find someone to marry. All unmarried women are invited to a grand ball at the palace at 10 p.m. tonight. The prince will choose a bride. There will be sausages on sticks, jelly, and a vegan option. No jeans or trainers." Cinderella rushed to tell her sisters about the invitation. They were downstairs in the cellar, trying to find yet more crisps to eat. When the sisters heard that the prince was looking for a bride, they gave Cinderella a long, hard look. They knew that they were better dressed and much prettier than Cinderella, but they also knew that Cinderella was a nicer person. They were worried that the prince might like her more than them. The cruel sisters locked Cinderella in the cellar while they rushed upstairs to book a taxi to get to the party. Cinderella was trapped in the dark with the rats. She called out for help in desperation. Luckily, her fairy godmother was passing and heard her. She appeared in a flash of sparkles. Cinderella explained how she wanted to go to the palace, but her cruel stepsisters had locked her up. The fairy godmother saw what needed to be done. She waved her magic wand. She turned Cinderella's rags into a beautiful party dress, gave her shoes made of sparkling glass, and turned a pumpkin into a magical coach. Then the fairy godmother noticed that her magic wand was nearly out of charge. This meant that the magic wouldn't last very long. Everything would return to normal at the stroke of midnight. Oh. Cinderella promised to be home by midnight. She climbed into the magic coach, which took off and flew through the night sky on the way to the palace. Oh. At the palace, the prince was busy taking selfies. The cruel sisters crept up beside him and gave him quite a shock. Just then, Cinderella descended the grand staircase in the ballroom. The prince was transfixed. He danced for hours with Cinderella, much to the annoyance of the cruel sisters. When the clock struck 12, Cinderella remembered her promise to the fairy godmother. She ran out of the ballroom without saying goodbye to the prince. As she ran up the stairs, she slipped, and one of her glass slippers fell off. The prince was close behind her and caught it. He proclaimed that he would marry whomsoever the slipper fit. The next day, the prince ventured into the town square with the glass slipper on a pink cushion. Hundreds of women tried to put the slipper on, but to no avail. One of the cruel sisters couldn't even get her big toe into the shoe, and the other one tried drizzling olive oil on her foot to make it slip in. Instead, the glass slipper slipped out of her hand and smashed into 1,000 pieces on the floor. Oh! The prince was distraught. But Cinderella had heard the sound of smashing glass, and she brought out the other glass slipper and showed the prince. The prince was overjoyed. He asked Cinderella if she'd marry him, and she said yes, and they lived happily ever after. Oh, and the cruel sisters, they had to work in the palace kitchens peeling potatoes all day. Oh, I love a happy ending, though I can't help thinking that if the prince hadn't taken quite so many selfies, he might have noticed Cinderella's face, and he wouldn't have had to go through all that business with the shoe. But that's fairy tales for you. Happy Christmas!
For the full range of Gaspard the Fox books and toys, go to gaspardthefox.com.
Thank you.